Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's December 6th, 2015. This week we're going to do a lesson on the basics of country guitar riffs. This week's question was sent in from Charlie. He's out in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and he wrote in with this email. I need to learn how to get a few basic country rhythm riffs together. I'm going to sub out in my cousin's country band. I'm not looking for tons of flashy lines, just the basics of dealing with chording and riff ideas. Country tunes seem to alternate off of different bass notes. There's also a snap effect to the sound of the strings with most riffs. Any help here would be amazing. From Charlie in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Charlie. Country guitar players, they have something going on with their chops. It's a little bit different than most other styles. They're really a joy to listen to, and they're fun to watch. There's some flashy stuff going around with the country guitar players there. And they're using a busy assortment of lines generally when they're playing most of those tunes, and they have a fairly unique approach when it comes to the strum technique as well. So in this video, we're going to pay attention to both of these ideas by learning techniques like alternate bass note strumming. We're going to do some country guitar string snapping technique there, and also we're going to check out just how they can get a really solid connection with riffs by adding some more filler tones than what we'd find in a lot of other styles that we'd play. So let's not waste any time here. Let's zoom in on the neck and just get things started with learning some basic country guitar riffs. Well, the first idea that we're going to take a look at is called alternate bass note strumming. And how it works is you attack the root of the chord. I'll just take a D major chord here in open position. You attack the root of the chord. In this case, it's going to be the fourth guitar string open. So you play that one first on its own, and then you're going to have a couple of strums on eighth notes for the chords. We're going to have the fifth, we have the octave, and we have the major third up top there on the top three strings. To do those as eighth notes. Then we're going to take a new bass tone. This time we're going to open up the open fifth string. So that's basically going to give us an A there on open fifth, and then we're going to have the chord up on the upper end there played again as eighth notes. So it creates this idea. So you just have to really watch, what's happening with your pick hand so that you're tracking those tones all right. And, you can also go to other chords. You can get to a G. If you have a G bass note, you can move up over to the major third, which would be second fret on the fifth string. You can do an A by hitting an A root and then going into a low E, sixth string open. Now I have put together a chord progression for you in the key of D major, and I'll pop that up on the screen right now so you can check that out, and I'll play it down for you so you have a good idea how it works. It goes like this. Now this is a really popular technique. It's used in thousands and thousands of songs, old-time country westerns, some of the newer stuff, also a lot of folk songs use this approach. So when you're first learning how to play it, just be careful, like I'd mentioned earlier, with the strumming hand, so that you're really getting that detail on the isolated bass tone, and just have a nice, loose, relaxed strum for those eighth notes there. You can even swing it a little bit if you want to. And once again, I'm just going to play this idea one more time for you. Sounds like that. Now, the second idea I want to move on to next has basically the same kind of deal going on with it with the alternate bass note technique, and it's also going to remain in the key of D major, but we're going to move through a couple of bar chords. We're going to have a D major bar chord, and we're also going to have a G major bar chord in third position there. So what we're going to do here is just add in a connecting phrase. Now, a lot of the country western stuff is adding in connecting phrases around the chord changes. It's a really nice sound. The connecting phrase that I'm going to use is just going to operate within a D major pentatonic. And basically it's going to cover the chord changes. So we're going to have the chord occur at first. So we'll have the bar chord of D major in fifth position, alternating from the root over to that bass note A from the fifth string to the sixth string in the fifth fret area. And then we're going to have a connecting phrase like this. So that's going to be for the D chord. And then when we move to the G chord, we'll have the G to the D alternating from 6th string to the 5th string, and we'll have a connecting phrase that goes like this. So that'll connect us back to the D chord. The first phrase connects us over to the G, and then the second one connects us back to the D. So I'll put everything together, give you an idea how this thing sounds. So you can come up with your own connecting phrases, you can come up with your own kind of endings, but these are a great way to really spice up country lines and add more movement to the overall sound of the part. Just take your time learning those connecting phrases so that they're smooth and flowing within the timing of the entire part. You'll probably have an inclination to go and spice them up, do other things to them, but maybe in the beginning just learn them note for note. Get them down pat, then pop them into the changes. And there's only 2 chords in this thing, it's just a D major and a G major. But mess around with it a lot to get exactly what's happening with this exact phrase, and then start spicing things up, improvising, coming up with your own made up stuff, because it's going to be really easy to just embellish these ones that I started you off on. So here it is one more time for you. I'll take you out with the riff here. Well, my next example starts getting into that really cool sounding country snap effect. And that's going to happen just right off the guitar strings themselves by going through an idea called hybrid picking. Now, what I'm going to start with, though, is I have an idea that I want to play for you. It's in the key of E major, and it's going to apply this in a really straightforward way. It goes like this. All right, so what's happening there is I'm using my middle fingers, my middle finger and my ring finger to grab at the 5th and 4th strings, and I'm snapping at them. So it's basically like you're sort of biting into the string, It's called hybrid picking technique, but, it's more to it than that. We're sort of snapping by, actually grabbing the strings and then slightly upwards, pulling them in an upwards way and allowing them to snap against the string. A snap against the guitar's fretboard is really what it's snapping against. So we're kind of ripping at the string, and it's pulling it up slightly, and then it's smacking against the face of the guitar's fretboard to get that sound. Now, it's a really cool idea to mess around with, and it really gives you that country western concept. In the first example that I was just playing there for you in the key of E minor, what's happening is I'm using the snap on the 5th and 4th strings of the B and E tones on those strings. And I'm getting kind of a snap out of those guys. But I'm also having the snap occur once again. I have the lead in with the G sharp on the bass string there. I have a G tone on 6th string and then a G sharp on the 6th string. And then I'm going around and to the 5th string and I'm playing a B. And I'm having a C sharp in there too, but that's going to be as a hammer-on pull-off with the snap. So I'm snapping at that B tone and it's snapping off. And that's giving me that other, effect to the sound. It's a really cool effect. And, this kind of an idea can, I'm doing it here in the key of E, but just like a lot of blues riffs, you could just transfer it over from the E chord to the A chord and do it there as well. I'm going to modify it a little bit, though. I'm going to do a hammer on that 5th string and then jump down and then grab that low G tone there. So it's kind of a neat idea. It turns it around nicely, too, back to the E, So it's kind of a cool concept. And you can use them back to back. You can play them as much as you want. If maybe you're doing an 8-bar phrase, maybe you're doing a 12-bar phrase, you can just line them up however you think sounds cool. So they're just tons of fun to mess around with. And then, with the added snap, I turn my volume down a little bit there so it doesn't kind of blast at you. But you get the idea. I mean, live, you got lots of punch, you got a nice tube amp. It's a really, really neat sound. So that's the effect of just getting started with, let's say, a root chord and a fourth chord. But the last example that I have for you is going to focus a little bit more on a turnaround idea. So if you're in the key of E, your root chord, of course, would be the E. Your fourth chord in the key would be A. And then a lot of times, of course, when you're dealing with these numbers, you're going to have a 5 chord, which would be B. And then you'd have some kind of turnaround where you go B down to A and then take it around to the E again. So you'd have turnaround like that functioning. Now, that's what I got going on, but it's going to be done as a single tone idea. So we've got this thing going. That's how the phrase moves. So that's covering the B. And then you can move around to the A with this phrase I came up with. Add some of that hybrid in there. You can hear what a difference that makes, to get that snap in with that middle finger, So, and then when you back them up against one another, you have the B flowing into the A. That's basically your turnaround. Here, I'll do it with some more hybrid in there. You can hear the difference, when you get that snap in there. So it's a really cool effect, and you can line them all up and basically have a full progression, full country western style, real, it even works well for rockabilly, jump blues, all those kind of styles. Very, very cool, a lot of fun. Well, when we learn how to perform ideas within any new style of music, it generally takes the development of new techniques. Now, in this style of country guitar, we found out about alternate bass-note strumming and about the technique of grabbing at the string and snapping the strings to achieve that, sort of country string pop sound. And, you can hear that in many of the songs popular to this style. So, overall, in learning some of these concepts, it's going to obviously go a long way in helping players to develop a style like this. But I also want to stress the learning of songs within the style. So learning songs by the popular artists in any style will go a really long way in gaining the insight that we need to take style up to a whole new level of ability. Anyhow, that's about all the time that I have for today. As always, I want to say thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and if at all possible, perhaps consider a small donation to help the Guitar Lessons project here. Every little bit counts. Otherwise, have yourself a really great week, and I will catch up with you next time. Bye for now. I'd like to take a moment to mention another guitar video lesson project I've started. It's a unique guitar lesson approach that I'm doing online, and it's not like anything I've done before. Best of all, it's 100% free. I've called this approach Guitar Micro Lessons, and they're a great way to learn a few new licks or riffs or chord shapes each week. Now, these Guitar Micro Lessons are quick and easy to learn from. They're very short, with each lesson running between only 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes in length. They're published to YouTube from Monday to Thursday on my other Guitar Blog Update YouTube channel, and you can either subscribe to that channel to guarantee getting each new episode, or just visit the channel whenever it's convenient for you and check out the new micro lessons in the playlist on the Guitar Blog Update channel's homepage. If you'd like to learn the modes and really get an understanding how they can be used musically to write songs, play a solo, or compose melody lines, then you're in luck. My ebook, Using the Major Scale Modes, is a comprehensive manuscript outlining exactly how modes are used both in harmony and to compose melodic ideas. Over 50 pages of scale patterns, example progressions, and music theory all create one of the most comprehensive methods on the modes available. Using the Major Scale Modes is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com.